So about a month ago, Walt Disney World introduced its new Genie service, and a lot of you have reached out to me asking if I would go to Disney World and make a video about it. And so today I'm going to go to Hollywood Studios and for the first time use the new Genie service and the new Genie Plus service. Now I've deliberately not used the service at all until now because I figured if and when I ever made this video, it probably comes across better from the perspective of, well, this is brand new, I've never used it, I've done some research, and this is how it works and this is what I think. So I've deliberately waited for that reason. This is going to be my one and only Genie Plus video for a while, I would imagine. So I'm going to try and cram as much as I possibly can into it. The good, the bad, and the ugly of the system, what I actually think of it, me making mistakes, learning things, maybe sharing any tips that I pick up from the little bit of research I've done for the last couple of days and using it today for the very first time. So hopefully by the end of the video, we'll all have learned something. So before we go to Hollywood Studios, let's just go over a few of the basics. So what is the Disney Genie service? Well, you can kind of split it into two parts. The first part is a free planning tool that sits within the My Disney Experience app on your phone. At its core, it's an AI-based planning tool. You go into the application and you tell it all the things you and your party are most excited to experience at Walt Disney World, and it takes this information along with live updates from the park, and it tries to curate you your own personalized day so you can get the most out of it. Along with that, you have the new Genie Plus system, which is effectively an optional upgrade to Genie, which is a pay-to-play system, and it effectively replaces what we used to get with the FastPass Plus reservation system, which was included in the price of our park admission. So Genie Plus is not free. It will cost you $15 per person per day for the service. Once you purchase it, you'll have access to the new Lightning Lane reservation system. So what is a Lightning Lane? Lightning Lane is simply the new terminology for what we used to refer to as the FastPass line. You used to go to the attraction with your FastPass return time and bypass the standby line. Now, you just go to the attraction with your Lightning Lane return time and get into the Lightning Lane. The exact same physical line, it just says Lightning Lane. So the $15 Genie Plus service gives Lightning Lane access to around 40 attractions across Walt Disney World. However, there are 2 attractions in each of the 4 parks that are not included in the Genie Plus service. So in the case of Hollywood Studios today, those 2 attractions are Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. If we want to skip the standby line for either of those 2 attractions, we need to purchase something called an individual selection Lightning Lane, which is a pay per ride system, and it's based on surge pricing. That price will change depending on the day of the week, if it's the weekend, is it a holiday, how busy the park is. Disney say that will never top $15 for one ride, but Rise of the Resistance has basically been a flat $15 since the system went into effect. So to clarify, you can obtain Genie Plus Lightning Lane return times for 40 attractions across Walt Disney World when you purchase the Genie Plus service. Then there is the individual selection Lightning Lanes, which is a paid premium per ride, and that applies to the top 2 attractions in each of the 4 parks. If you don't want to purchase the Genie Plus service for the day, and you are willing to stand in standby lines for everything, but you do want to skip the standby line for, say, Rise of the Resistance, you can go into the Genie app and just purchase the individual Lightning Lane selection for Rise of the Resistance and pay whatever price they're demanding at that point. You don't have to pay for the Genie Plus, but for everything else, you would be waiting in standby lanes. You can only use a Lightning Lane for an attraction 1 time per day. So if you purchase the individual selection for Rise of the Resistance and ride it, you cannot purchase another one that day. You'd have to stay in the standby line. So a couple more things before we head to the park. You can purchase the Genie Plus service on the day of your visit anytime from midnight. If you want to purchase Genie Plus ahead of time, say you've bought a 7-day park pass from the UK, you have to apply Genie Plus to every day of your Disney ticket. Whether you're buying that directly from Disney or you're getting a discount from a third-party reseller, you're still being charged something for Genie Plus for every day of your visit. I don't personally think that makes much sense financially, and I'll get to that later in the video. You can make your first Lightning Lane reservation on the day of your visit at 7 a.m. If you're staying on Disney property or I believe at a Good Neighbor hotel, you can also make your first individually priced Lightning Lane selection from 7 a.m. If you're not staying on Disney property, you can still make your first Genie Plus Lightning Lane reservation at 7 a.m, but you cannot purchase the individual selections until the park opens or at 9 a.m. From doing some research before making this video, the overwhelming feeling from the user community seems to be a feeling that the system is just overly complicated, overly convoluted, and just very confusing in general. The other overwhelming feeling from the community seems to be one of a great deal of annoyance at Disney for greed, effectively for charging a substantial sum of money than what we used to get with the FastPass Plus reservation system that was always included in the price of admission. I'm going to touch on both of these things throughout the video. So I just want to touch on the complexity and the confusion part real quick, because I fundamentally agree. This service is billed as you can hold one Genie Plus Lightning and Return Time at a time and book another one almost instantly once you've used it.
With Genie Plus, guests can choose the next available time to arrive at select attractions and experience one selection at a time throughout the entire day.
So for your everyday Disney guest who decides to purchase the Genie Plus service, if you use it based on that marketing material from Disney themselves, then you're already confused and you're already not getting out of the system what you could get out of the system. I've discovered something called the 120-minute rule or cooldown window. Okay, so what does this actually mean? Well, this mysterious 120-minute window only begins at park opening or 9 a.m. and that's irrespective of whether you're staying on property or not. And what it basically means is Disney are telling the truth that you can hold one Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time and get another once you've used it. However, if 120 minutes passes between the time you booked your last one and when the actual return time is, you are at that point allowed to book another Lightning Lane return time, meaning you can have more than one at once, which I don't see being freely advertised by Disney. This is a lot of information to take in, I know that, and I promise that this big old video will try and answer and explore everything. And as an example to this, it's a little after 7 a.m. now, and I've made my first Lightning Lane reservation return time for the day for Slinky Dog at 1:20. So the park opens at 9, so 120 minutes later will be 11. So at 11, I should be able to go into the app and make another Lightning Lane reservation. So I'm going to set an alarm just before 11 so I don't forget to check, and we'll see how it goes. My intention for this video is that by the very end, I'll have included absolutely everything I can think of and have learned about using the Genie service for the very first time. So if I haven't mentioned something yet, I assure you that by the end, I probably will have done, so keep watching. And if you haven't subscribed and you're new, hit subscribe. Such a YouTuber. I promise this is all going to make sense by the end. Let's go. So it's just before 11 o'clock now and I've actually just gotten to Hollywood Studios. One thing I did do around 9 a.m. was start to refresh the app to see if I could purchase the individual Lightning Lane return time for Rise of the Resistance. And at around 9, just after 9, 9:01, 9:02, they were already saying unavailable, and the standby time was at 200 minutes, which was 2 minutes after the park opened to the general public. The park did have early hours for those that qualified in Disney property from 8 a.m, so there was already people in the park. I also noticed that the Slinky Dog Lightning Lane return times were saying currently unavailable, and that the wait time was also over an hour just after 9 o'clock. Now with these Lightning Lane return times, they are going to periodically throughout the day say that they're unavailable, but they do come back, so you're going to have to just keep refreshing the app. The alarm on my phone just went off. It's 10:57. The reason I set an alarm for 10:57 is because of the 120-minute rule that we talked about. The 120-minute rule starts from park opening, so today 9 a.m. And it means that at 11 I can book another Lightning Lane return time, even though I already have the one at 1:20 for Slinky Dog. You just go into the My Disney Experience app and bring up the tip board, and you just go through and you choose which one you want. So let's have a look what they've got. 6:20 for Mickey and Minnie, Bellevue Twilight Zone 4:15, Alien Swirling Saucers 2:40. Star Tours is currently only a 25-minute wait, but let's do Star Tours at 12, which is an hour from now. So I'm going to book Star Tours for between 12:05 and 1:05, and once we've done that, it will be coming up, give or take, to the time where we can go on Slinky Dog. I've set another alarm for just under 2 hours from now, which will take us to about 1 o'clock. And what that means is, again, I will be able to book another Lightning Lane return time, even though I still haven't used the original one we booked for Slinky Dog. Make sense? Brings me to another tip, and that is when you come, make sure that your phone is fully charged, that you have a phone charger with you, because you are going to be refreshing this app all day. You're going to be in there refreshing it to find out when the next Lightning Lanes are, if there's mobile order arrival windows. This tip is an important one, but it also sucks. And the reason this sucks is one of my overall issues with this whole implementation, and that is we come to Disney to be at Disney, to be engrossed in magic and wonder and escapism. And now we are totally reliant on our phones, whereas we should be walking around listening to this Christmas music in the background, or characters that are going past, or a cavalcade, or just being in the moment. we're kind of in that moment, and for the rest of the time, we're now constantly in our phones. And the entire concept of how Disney Genie and Disney Genie Plus works requires you to have an enormous amount of attention on your phone all day in order to get the most out of it. And for me, that sucks. Actually go ahead and try and purchase the Lightning Lane return time for Mickey and Minnie or for Rise. If we go into My Genie Day and you go to the tip board, they're currently charging $10 for an individual Lightning Lane return window for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is currently saying temporarily closed, and no standby time and no individual Lightning Lane. Let's look at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I can get a 6:40 p.m. return time, which is in 7 hours, basically, and pay $10 for riding it. $10.65 to ride Mickey and Minnie's Railway. Done. So I'm not really sure if I've done a very good job at actually orientating us within the Genie portion of the My Disney Experience app. So let's just quickly do that now. So you launch the Disney Experience app on your phone, obviously. Click on the little plus icon at the bottom and go to View My Genie Day and Tip Board. So when you come to this, it's split into two sections, the Tip Board and My Day. On Tip Board, it shows you all the experiences and attractions within the park, along with their current standby wait times and the next available Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time, or if it's an individual Lightning Lane selection, the next time that's available and how much it's going to cost. You can see that standby for Mickey and Minnie is $75, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is $70, Rock and Roller Coaster is $70, Slinky Dog's now $90, and not currently offering Lightning Lane. And as I say, this is where you have to unfortunately live in your phone all day, keep refreshing until hopefully you see one come up if you don't want to stand in the standby lane. And that's the thing, of course, is you don't have to buy Genie Plus. You can choose to stand in the standby lane for everything. So that's the experience portion. If you click on the dining label there, you'll see all of the next arrival windows for mobile ordering for the different food locations around the park. ABC Commissary, Docking Bay 7, Sci-Fi Dining. You can see that there's no walk-up, no reservations available, which is standard for that place, it seems. The other part of this Disney Genie service app is the My Day tab. So if you go into My Day, this is the portion of the Genie service that's free. This is where it takes the input that we gave it earlier about the things we want to experience and see and do to recommend what we should do next as part of our day to get the most out of it. So you can see here that I have my 2 Genie Plus Lightning Lane return times. I've got the Star Tours one that we booked at 12:05, and I have the Slinky Dog Dash that we booked at 7 o'clock this morning. And beneath that, it's gonna start giving me recommendations for my day. So it's recommending that at 2:35, I listen to The Expanse. At 2:45, I should go to Muppet Vision 3D because the forecasted wait will be low, and so on and so forth. Alien Swirling Saucers, Toy Story Mania, and so on and so on. It's saying that Muppet Vision 3D at 2:45 would be a good time for me to go because the wait time forecast is low. Well, if you click on that and you look at this graph, it's pretty useless. I mean, it's just a graph with stacks on it. I mean, it doesn't show you anything. But if you go to the tip board, you can see that the individual Lightning Lane purchase for Mickey and Minnie now wouldn't start until 6:50 p.m. Rock and Roller Coaster's next Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time is 5:55 p.m. Tower of Terror, 5:55. They're all 6 hours from now. So clearly the big attractions book up very, very fast. I think that the Genie Plus service as a whole, including the individual Lightning Lane selections like Rise and Mickey and Minnie, are of more benefit to you if you're staying on Disney property, because not only can you start making your Lightning Lane selections at 7 a.m, but you can purchase your individual selections at 7 a.m. Yeah, it does seem that unless you get on this at the crack of dawn and start booking your Lightning Lanes, the earlier slots do disappear pretty quickly. So it's 12:10 now, so I'm within the Lightning Lane return time window for Star Tours. So I'm gonna head over there. Okay, so at Star Tours, it's saying that the current standby entrance time is 30 minutes, and we basically just go into the Lightning Lane entrance. So basically you just scan your pass at the start of the Lightning Lane, and then you go through the Lightning Lane, and then just before you get on the ride, I believe you scan it again. So I just got off Star Tours. I have no real idea what was going on, but it was a lot of fun. The advertised standby line when I got in there was 30 minutes, and I timed it on my phone, and I got on the attraction in about 6.5 minutes. When I was in the line though, something happened that surprised me. I scanned my pass for the lightning lane for the second time just before getting on, and I just went in to see if I could book another one. I assumed I wouldn't be able to because I still have the Slinky Dog pass booked for 120, but it did in fact allow me to do so, even though it was within 2 hours since I booked the last one. So I was a bit surprised about that. So I went to guest services and I had a long conversation with an incredible cast member called Katrina, so thank you Katrina, and she's explained a few things to me that have changed how I look at using this tool a little bit. Then I've got my Toy Story Land ride, and once I've done that, I'm going to sit down and go through exactly what I learned from guest experience. So I rode Slinky Dog Dash, which was a ton of fun, as always. The standby line said 85 minutes, and I waited for just about 11.5 minutes. And when I came off of the ride, I noticed that the wait time for standby had gone up to 95 minutes. That is one thing I have noticed, and from speaking to a few people around the park, seems to be a little bit of a gripe with it. There used to be some semblance of balance, it felt, between admitting people in the standby line onto the attraction versus people in the fast pass line onto the attraction. The weight of distribution is hugely skewed towards the people in the Genie Plus lightning lanes. It does make sense because if you've paid for a service, you expect to get that service, but it does make me ask a question: are the people that are paying for Genie Plus being rewarded, which they clearly are, or are you actually being punished for standing in the regular standby line? Because maybe it's the first time I've used it and it's just an observation of mine, but the flow of traffic out of the lightning lane onto an attraction versus the flow of traffic from the standby line was substantial. And it feels like the standby line has become a little bit of a commodity, where if you're standing in it and you're seeing the line next to you flooding through, it's going to make you question, should I buy Genie Plus? Which is probably the point. But if we're judging it from did the lightning lane perform, absolutely. I rode Slinky Dog and Star Tours in a total of about 16 minutes standing in line versus the advertised standby time of probably close to 3 hours. When I was in line for Star Tours and I scanned my pass for the lightning lane for the second time as I was about to board the ride, I did go into the app just to see if I could book another lightning lane return time, assuming that I couldn't, but it did let me book another lightning lane return time. So therefore I actually went to the guest experience team to speak to a cast member, and I went through what my understanding was based on what I've said in this video so far, and Katrina told me that everything I've said is correct. But there is some other information that you can add to that to really get the most out of Genie Plus. As I said at the start of this video, this is the first day I've ever used this, and I did that deliberately because I wanted this video to feel a little bit more authentic, like you guys are coming here and you have questions and you're not sure, and that's kind of what this is. I'm going to clarify a few points right now. The park is packed, as I've said, so I've kind of found myself a little shaded area off to one side, and rather than trying to rush through this right now and get it wrong, I want to take a moment to make this as clear and concise as possible. So I'm actually going to drop something in here right now that I haven't made yet. I'll make it later and then I'll put it here, and then once that's done, hopefully it will explain everything and we'll come back here and carry on. Go. You can purchase the Genie Plus service anytime from midnight on the day of your park visit. You don't have to get it for everyone in your group, just those that want to utilize it. There's a distinct difference between Genie Plus lightning lane return times and the individual selection lightning lane return times, which are those that you have to pay for individually. Needlessly confusing terminology from Disney. You can reserve your first Genie Plus lightning lane return time at 7 AM. If you're a Disney Resort or a Good Neighbor hotel guest, you can also purchase your individual selection return times from 7 AM. If you're not staying on Disney property, then you can purchase the individual selections from 9 AM or park opening. So the service is billed as allowing you to hold one Genie Plus lightning lane return time at a time, and you can book your next one once you've utilized it. However, as mentioned, this far less advertised concept that Disney referred to as the 120-minute cooldown window actually means you can book your next Genie Plus lightning lane return time once you've used your existing one, or after 120 minutes has elapsed since you booked your previous one. meaning you can in fact hold more than one Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time at a time, and from speaking to a ton of guests today in the park, very few knew about this. So let's quickly take a look at our day and how it fits into this, and having spoken to guest experience. So at 7 AM, we booked our first Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time for Slinky Dog at 1:20 PM. The park opened at 9 AM, which is when the 120-minute window can start. So at 11 AM, I'm able to book another Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time because our original one isn't until 1:20. So at 11 AM, we booked our second Lightning Lane return time for Star Tours at 12:05. And this is where my confusion came in. The return time for Star Tours is 65 minutes after I booked it. In this instance, once we've used Star Tours, 120 minutes hasn't passed, and I still hold the one Lightning Lane return time that we're told we can have. So in my mind, I can't book another one until 1 PM or until I've used the Slinky Dog return time at 1:20. However, after I scanned in for Star Tours, I was able to immediately book another one. What actually happens here is once you've obtained a Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time off of the fact that 120 minutes has passed and you hold one already for later in the day, that 120-minute window simply moves, which is clearly not what's being advertised to the masses. Let's look at one or two ways you could use this. So it's 7 AM and you book your first Lightning Lane return time for Slinky Dog at 9:30. You go to the park and at 9:30 you ride Slinky Dog. Within minutes you'll be able to book your next Lightning Lane return time. Let's say you get Tower of Terror for 11:45 AM. At 11:45 you ride Tower of Terror, and then within minutes you'll be able to book your next Lightning Lane return time. Let's say this time you get Toy Story Mania for 5:30 PM. What that means is in 120 minutes time, or 1:45 PM, you'll still have that return time, but you'll be eligible to book another one. So let's say at 1:45 PM, we get a Lightning Lane return time of 3 o'clock for Muppet Vision 3D. What this means is, as of 1:45 PM, we now hold a return time for Muppets at 3 PM, Toy Story Mania return time for 5:30 PM. So when we ride Muppets at 3 PM, we'll be able to book another one. So 3 PM comes around, we go and ride Muppet Vision 3D, we're eligible to book another Lightning Lane return time. So let's say we make a return time for Swirling Saucers at 7:05. Now we've already got the 5:30 PM return time for Toy Story Mania. Now as we're doing this at 3 o'clock, in 120 minutes, so at 5 PM, we're eligible to book another Lightning Lane. So at 5 o'clock, depending on what you get, you might be in a position where you hold 3 Genie Plus Lightning Lane return times. Makes perfect sense now, right? I've really only focused on this app, I've realized, from a Genie Plus perspective, or the portion that we're now paying for that replaces what FastPass Plus did. I haven't actually let the planner, the free portion, do anything for me. So I'm actually going to do that now. The app is actually recommending I go ride Alien Swirling Saucers at 3:40 because it's only a 30-minute wait. Then it's saying after that, go use your Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time for Toy Story Mania. I actually booked that a little while ago. I've been trying all day to get the individual selection in 4 rides, but it's just saying unavailable and has done every time I've checked. Park's open till 9, and I'm hoping that towards the end of the day, the standby line for rides will have gone down and maybe I can ride it. After that, I have the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Then it's recommending I put in a food order now to go pick up between 6 and 6:35 at Docking Bay 7, and so on and so forth. At the beginning of the day, I went in and I specifically said the things I was and was not interested in. And I didn't click being interested in Swirling Saucers, nor Muppet Vision, nor the Beauty and the Beast stage show. And periodically throughout the day, this app, I've noticed, has recommended I go and do all of those things. Strange that the personalized planner is recommending things that I specifically said I wasn't interested in. I guess the app has to recommend something. It can't just say stand around or go spend money in the shops. One last thing before we head over to the Swirling Saucers ride, and that is, I mentioned it earlier, this whole process of having to continuously check your phone and have your head in a phone, it's just stressful. It adds a layer of anxiety almost, to me anyway. And everyone has their head in their phone, everyone is swiping, you hear everyone saying, how does this work? There's just a general confusion around it. But for me, I'm at Disney, I'm in the land of fairy tales and wishes and dreams come true, and I'm now walking around thinking, I've got to get on my phone, I've got to get on my phone, oh I might miss the Lightning Lane, oh my 120-minute window has gone by and I haven't made another selection. For me it just feels a little like just a little bit too much focus in my phone than where I'm at. Okay, so now I have a Lightning Lane return time for Toy Story Mania, but before I redeem it, I wanted to further highlight this point about how you can stack Lightning Lane reservations on top of each other using this 120-minute rule, loophole, I don't know what the right word is. So if you look in my app now, you can see that I have this Lightning Lane reservation for Toy Story Mania. I now just made one for the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration. I have the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror Lightning Lane return time that I booked earlier, and I also have the paid individual Lightning Lane selection for Mickey and Minnie Railway. So this is something that you can use to your advantage if you plan the 2-hour windows correctly. Is it a loophole? I don't know. This is the first time I've used it. I do know that very few people know about this, so I'm actually going to just go in and cancel the Lightning Lane reservation I made for the Frozen sing-along, because I have no intention of using it. It was just to demonstrate the point, and I obviously don't want to take that away from someone who might actually want it. Brings me to another point that I think is very poor about the Genie Plus system. Once you've made a Lightning Lane reservation, you cannot modify it. You can only cancel it. Ridden Toy Story Mania, it was a lot of fun. The Lightning Lane, it took me like all of 5 minutes to get on it. It was basically a walk-on. The one thing I will say as a positive to using the Disney Plus service, if you're using the Lightning Lane return times, you fly onto the rides. Like, you wait pretty much no time at all in those lines. As I said before, the knock-on effect to the standby line is pretty significant, and I'm definitely noticing that the flow of standby versus Genie Plus lines being let onto the attraction is far more weighted towards Genie Plus than it used to be towards FastPass Plus. Do I know that for sure? No, but just from looking at it, far more people are getting let through at once on the Genie Plus lane than I recall used to get let through from the FastPass lane. Okay, so I'm now walking down a very busy Sunset Boulevard, like very busy Sunset Boulevard towards Tower of Terror for my next Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time. And I have to say, I hadn't really paid much attention because I've been kind of stressed making this video because there's so much information that I want to get right, and I don't know that I'm doing a very good job of it, if I'm honest. I'm trying to film it, learn it, use it, and I'm hoping it's going to come out okay. But one thing I haven't paid any attention to, which is actually really, really nice, is the Christmas decorations are up. And Christmas music is now blaring out, and dusk is upon us now, so the lights are starting to twinkle, the Christmas music. Yeah, it's for the first time this year I feel festive. So let's go ride Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror, fabulous as always. Still my favorite ride at Walt Disney World, and I know I hear amazing things about Guardians of the Galaxy over on the West Coast, but I truly hope they never change this one. So much fun. As I probably said earlier, of all the Disney parks, Hollywood Studios is probably my least favorite for a few reasons. One of those reasons being is I just personally don't think there's enough here to do for an entire day, and I've been in the park since 10:30ish, and I'm going to be here till probably not long before park close, and I don't remember the last time in literal years I've been in a park that long. And I'm clearly getting old because I'm exhausted. So I'm going to do this, which is the individual Lightning Lane selection that I purchased for $10 earlier. Just as a point of reference before I go on to Mickey and Minnie, the current standby wait time is 70 minutes, and I'm getting in the Lightning Lane now, so like with all the other rides, I'll see how long that line takes me. Okay, so Mickey and Minnie was super cute. I think I ended up waiting for about 7 minutes prior to the pre-show, so that wasn't bad at all. Rise has actually been up and down quite a lot today, and for the last couple of hours it's just been down completely. So that might help explain why I struggled to find a return time for it today. Maybe it's just because it was having technical difficulties and was down a lot rather than it just being sold out through demand. The reason I mentioned Rise going down though is because I said earlier that to me it's very frustrating that once you've made a Genie Plus Lightning Lane return time, you can't amend it in any way. You either use it or you cancel it. There's no amending it. But with the paid individual Lightning Lane return times, you can't cancel that. You can't just decide, I don't want to do it, and cancel it and get your money back. You won't get your money back. If the ride goes down during your return window, they will offer you an alternate window for some time later. If that alternate window doesn't suit you, or you have to leave the park before that happens, or in fact the ride just stays down for the rest of the day, I truly don't know what the process is with that. You would assume Disney just offer you a refund, but I did do some reading and I can't find anything clear, other than if I read some forums, people seem to be saying it feels a little bit ad hoc, where it's kind of on a case-by-case basis rather than there actually being a plan in place. I don't know if that's the case. Now, if anyone watching this knows the answer, stick a comment below so everyone knows. Okay, I'm officially beat at this point. I've just found a semi-quiet corner in Rosie's All-American Cafe on Sunset, and I've grabbed myself a seasonal drink. It is the frozen salted caramel hot chocolate. And it's basically salted caramel, hot chocolate, and mini marshmallows all kind of frozen together. It's pretty delicious. So I've decided I'm not going to get into the standby queue for Rise of the Resistance. It's just after 8 o'clock now, so let's have a quick look in the app at the tip board to see what the standby times are at this time of night. So we can see that Swirling Saucers is at 15 minutes, Beauty and the Beast is past its shows, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway is only a 35-minute wait right now, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is only a 30-minute wait, Star Tours Walk On 5 minutes, Rise of the Resistance is still a 95-minute wait, but that's versus the 200-minute wait it was at 9 AM. So what you can see from this is that if you do wait later in the day, standby lanes do go down. So you can take that into account when you're assessing, should I buy Genie Plus and should I buy the individual Lightning Lane selection rides? Okay, so obviously today was the first day I've used the app, and I've tried my very best to kind of learn it as I go, use it, show you what I'm doing, show you my mistakes, hopefully explain and correct those mistakes with you guys. My overall thoughts. Genie Plus in general, I don't really agree with. I understand that Disney took a huge hit during the pandemic, as many businesses did, and I also understand that aside from cupcakes and castles and princesses and pretzels, Disney is a business. It's a business first and foremost, with shareholders and staff with salaries to pay and fireworks to shoot off. And I know that we look at this place for the magic and the escapism and the storytelling and the fantasy, but Disney as a business is going to try and recoup that money. That said, I still think it's a bit of a ripoff to be charging someone $15 to get, in my opinion, not necessarily even as good a service as we were getting with FastPass Plus, which was included in the price of our ticket. A few things about the app that I thought were decent. When I got the Lightning Lane return time for a particular attraction, the Lightning Lane was super fast. You will save yourself a ton of time standing in line by utilizing the Lightning Lane system. As I've kind of beaten to death a little bit through the video, which I apologize for, you've got this 120-minute window rule thing. So if you utilize that, it is possible to stack Genie Plus Lightning Lane return times. And the thing I do like about that is they're full hour blocks and you can overlap them. So for example, you could get a return time for an attraction for 5:05 to 6:05 p.m, but you could also hold one at the same time for 5:35 to 6:35 p.m. And I had something very similar to that earlier. I'll try and find it and put it on the screen here. So that was kind of cool, because when you were booking your FastPass reservations with FastPass Plus, you couldn't overlap them. So if you really wanted to be strategic about your day and really think about 120-minute windows, you could stack your day up with Lightning Lane return times, which I suppose is a positive, but I'm actually also going to put in the negative, and I'll get to that. Overall, the user interface is smart looking and fairly intuitive, where it's split down between the main tip board and then the other half of the personalized My Day section, where Genie recommends the things you should do to get the most out of your day. Overall, I didn't have any problems using it, so I understand that I haven't covered park hopping, and I do apologize. The app does cater for park hopping, and Katrina from Guest Services, who I was speaking to earlier, did recommend that if you know that you're going to park hop at the start of the day, go into the app and tell it that you intend to go to another park, so it can start preparing the algorithm to start suggesting things later in the day. Bearing in mind at the moment that park hopping generally starts from about 2 o'clock. One thing to note is that when you're in the app looking at the Genie service and you're on the tip board, all it's showing you is everything for the park that you're in. So you're only seeing things for Hollywood Studios. So if you go to the top of the tip board, you'll see this here, change park, and then it will pop up here. You can see Magic Kingdom, Epcot, etc. If, for example, I want to go to Epcot, and then it will change to that park and show you what's relevant in that park. My main focus today, I know, has really been on using the Genie Plus portion of this service, i.e. the part that has replaced what FastPass Plus was, and I know that I didn't focus quite so much on the sort of the free Disney Genie planning service aspect of it. So what don't I like about it? Well, what I don't like about it is the fact that the main thing I like, I have to pay to get,
when I used to get that within my annual pass or my park admission, and I no longer get it. Something else I don't like about it, which I've said a lot, you have to live in your phone. At least one member of your party is going to be on their phone for a large portion of the day. They're going to be swiping the tipboard, looking at standby lanes, swiping the tipboard to see if lightning lane return times have popped up, swiping to see if there's any Rise lightning lane purchases that can be made. That I don't really like, which actually brings me to another tip. When you come, make sure that your entire group has My Disney Experience installed on their phone. Make sure that you're logged in and you know your password, and make sure all your accounts are linked together. So that means that if one person swipes and says, oh cool, there's a lightning lane return time here, they can click it and book that lightning lane return time for everyone in your party. Given the fact that everything here now is also geared toward mobile ordering for food, try and link a credit card or a debit card to your My Disney Experience app so you can pay the mobile order ahead of time, and then, you know, everything's on your phone. I listed the ability to be able to stack multiple lightning lane return times as a positive, but it also frustrates me. And the reason it frustrates me is that Genie Plus is billed as you can hold a lightning lane return time, use it, and get another one. Then there's this kind of lesser known, it definitely feels like, 120-minute rule that we've been through ad nauseum. But very clearly, if you want to try and play the system and you plan your 120-minute windows out throughout the entire day from 7 a.m. through to park close at 9 p.m., people can come here and stack up their day with lightning lanes. And that all sounds great. It's great for those people that know how to play the system or want to play the system. And I'm using the phrase play the system. I don't even know if it's playing the system, because I've not seen that advertised anywhere. And when I spoke to several different cast members today, all of them have used the phrase, we know how complicated this is. We know how confusing this is for our customers. This is new technology, it's a new system, and things take time to bed in. But it feels needlessly complicated. And my frustration is, if it is playing the system, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to do that and know how to do that and benefit from it. But a huge proportion of people that are going to come to Disney World on vacation aren't tech savvy. They're not really literate in smartphones and apps, and they save thousands of pounds and dollars as families to come here for a dream vacation. And now they're like, Genie Plus, this is that new Fast Pass thing, right? I guess I need it. Should I? Okay, yeah, we're just going to buy that. And then they come here and they don't know about the 120 minutes or this stacking philosophy, and they're paying for it and they're not really getting anything out of it. In fact, as an example, earlier when I was walking around and a lovely couple came up to me and said hello, and we had a little conversation, and they purchased Genie Plus today for Hollywood Studios and were explaining that they had a return time for an attraction sometime this afternoon. And I asked them, oh, do you know about the 120-minute window, i.e. when did you book it? And they had no idea. So they had booked their lightning lane return time and were waiting for it, but had booked it more than 2 hours ago and had no clue that they could go in and book another one. Hard-working people that have come on their dream vacation to their happy place, they've come home, they're being sold a product, not really being told how to get the most out of it. It feels a little bit like a very uneven playing field for the customers that know how and the customers that don't really have a clue. And I think that it kind of feels like it's been designed that way. Like, do we need Genie Plus? I'm not sure. Let's just buy it then. And I don't personally think that that's right, but, you know, I'm just one idiot. I do feel that the Genie Plus service is quite a lot of greed on Disney's part, whilst trying to be as balanced as possible, saying that I do understand that they're a business, that they have commitments to fulfill as a business. But when you look at the fact that with FastPass Plus included in our ticket price, we could make our FastPass reservations, we could modify our FastPass reservations, we had parades, we had trams that would pick us up and take us to the front gate. If you unfortunately are parked back in the boonies away from the park entrance, you're walking right now. I don't know why trams aren't running. I don't know. If we put that to one side and we just look at the operational aspect of Genie Plus, how it performs, do I recommend it, is it value? As I've said, the actual lightning lane return time, once you have it, you're going to get on that ride super quick. You are going to save yourself an absolute ton of time standing in line, for sure. I personally wouldn't recommend to anyone buying it ahead of time. If you buy it ahead of time, you have to add it to every day of your vacation. So if you buy a 14-day Disney ticket in the UK and you want to add Genie Plus, whether you're getting a discount price from a third-party vendor or you're buying it from Disney, you are getting charged Genie Plus for every single day of your trip. When you get here, you might find a day where it's completely rained out and no one turns up to the park, so the standby lines are super low. Or you might find that you've done 3 days in the park and the day you were supposed to go to Hollywood Studios, you sleep through your alarm. You're committing yourself to an expenditure before you know that you're going to use it. You can buy Genie Plus on a day-to-day basis, anytime from midnight the day you want to use it. So that means if you're coming to Disney for 7 days, maybe you want to buy it for one of those days or 2 of those days. Do you need to purchase Genie Plus or the individually priced attractions? No. If you have a Disney Park Pass, you do not need to do anything else. If you're willing to stand in standby lines, and then of course that means you might not get everything done in one day, that's all you need to do. You do not need to purchase anything above your park ticket. Still make the most of using the tip board in the Genie service because it is really good at looking at standby times updating, and do use the My Day section because although I didn't utilize it a great deal today, I'm sure that a lot of benefit can be gained from it saying, hey, go to this particular attraction right now because the wait time projection is the lowest it's going to be all day. If you buy Genie Plus, you then have access to all of the attractions that qualify for the Lightning Lane return time. If you want to buy the individually priced Lightning Lane attractions, you can purchase those without purchasing Genie Plus. You don't have to buy Genie Plus and then pay for the individually priced attractions. Fireworks. You could just, if you wanted to, pay for the individual priced attraction. The point is, it's so confusing that I think a lot of people are just going to say, yeah, I'll get it, yeah, I get it, yeah, I get it. And then Disney benefits massively from that, and I fear that the guests don't necessarily see the return on it that they should. Where would I say is probably the best value place to use Genie Plus? I would say Magic Kingdom, just purely based on the amount of attractions that are there and the ability that you might have to get on more of those attractions quicker. We have to remember when we watch these videos, this is one person's opinion on one moment in time on YouTube. Everyone's got a different opinion, but personally, I don't see the benefit of using it as, say, Epcot. For me, Epcot is more of a sensory experience. I go there for some sips and some food and to stroll around World Showcase, just taking it all in and the ambience and the fireworks. But the big draw there right now, for example, is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, which they are offering a virtual line for that you can try for. But if you don't get that, the individually priced Lightning Lane selection for that has been around $8 or $9. So if you buy Genie Plus for Epcot, you're spending $15. And then if you want to get the Lightning Lane for Remy, you're spending another $8 or $9. Well, I personally wouldn't buy Genie Plus, and if I really wanted to ride Ratatouille, I would just spend the $8 or $9 to ride Ratatouille, and then I've saved money on buying Genie Plus, if that makes sense. Hollywood Studios, as I've said, it feels like a bit of a toss-up because the Genie service was recommending, hey, go do this, when I specifically said I'm not interested in doing that. And that's because there's not that many attractions here. However, it does contain 3 of the biggest draws at Walt Disney World, probably, in Slinky Dog, Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, and Galaxy's Edge in general. So value means different things to different people. When would I use Genie Plus, or when would I purchase an individual Lightning Lane return time? If my friends and family are in town from overseas or out of town, and we really, really want to maximize the day, or we really want to get on Rise of the Resistance, for example, then sure, I'll become part of the problem in funding Disney and making them think that what they're doing is okay, and I will use it in those scenarios. But day to day, I personally won't use it. That's from my perspective. However, if you're a family coming from overseas, then I would say if you're willing to pay for it and you do it, the chances are you're going to get a lot more done, and you're going to do a lot less standing around in the Florida heat in standby lines. However, if we just take today as an example for a family of 4, and that family do what I did and are lucky enough to get a individually priced Lightning Lane return time for Rise of the Resistance, that would work out at $15 per person for Genie Plus, plus $10 per person for Mickey and Minnie, plus $15 per person for Rise of the Resistance. So to have ridden Mickey and Minnie, Rise of the Resistance, and get Genie Plus for all of your party, you've paid $160 total plus tax for that benefit. And that's where I can't tell someone what value is and value isn't. For me, that's not really value. But if this is the only time you're coming to Disney, or it's the first time you've been in years, you and your children have talked about riding Rise of the Resistance, which, by the way, I know nothing about Star Wars, is a mind-blowing attraction. And you've talked about this every day for the last 2 years, and you get here and you look at it and you say, we don't have 3 hours to wait in line, but we can all just drop that money, the extra 15, 30, 45, 60 bucks total to ride it in that moment, to make the holiday, to make that memory and that moment of magic for your family. Is that additional 60 bucks worth it? Maybe that is value at that point. I don't know. Value is determined by the person who perceives that value, I guess. They're my thoughts on Genie Plus. That's my day on using Genie Plus. I do apologize if I've not answered everything. As I say, I really tried to make this video through the eyes of someone that's just showing what it's like to use it for the first time, so you get an idea of, you know, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but you get an idea of what it's going to be like for you, and hopefully you can take some stuff away from this. If I've misrepresented anything or I've missed something out, feel free to leave a comment below so that people watching this can get the most out of it, because that's why I've really made this video, to try and help people. Hopefully everyone took something from it. Yeah, I'm gonna go home now. Oh yeah, one other thing that is in there, if you buy the Genie Plus app, you get access to the Disney magical photo lenses. Take care everyone, bye.